So it's almost the end of 2020. We're not quite there yet, but it got me thinking about which videos I wanted to film. And usually I do all kinds of wrap-up videos and roundup videos. And before I get into that, I thought it would be fun to maybe revisit some of my older favorites. So today I'm revisiting my best of 2018. I'm going to go through all of the products and let you guys know which ones are still favorites and which ones I've replaced. I always think it's interesting to look back at older favorites and see which products have stood the test of time, which ones I've been able to find dupes for. So that's what I'm going to do in today's video. If you like these videos, I have a couple of these on my channel, so I'll link them in the description box below. But let's kick it off with my favorite cheek products of 2018. My favorite bronzer of 2018 was theBalm's Take Home the Bronze, and I have to say this is still an absolute favorite of mine. It is my go-to bronzer. I love the fact that it is so smooth and easy to apply, and it's interesting because in 2020 I've discovered a lot of other bronzer formulas that I like, and I've been reaching for shimmery bronzers and baked bronzers, formulas that are very different than this one, but when it comes down to it, this is still my favorite formula. When I want something quick and easy, or I want my makeup to just look extra good that day, I always reach for this one. So this one has definitely stood the test of time. I haven't been able to replace it. It is my number one still. That year I discovered the Flower Beauty Shimmer and Strobe highlighting palette, and I still love this palette so much. I haven't been using it as much in 2020 because I've been trying so hard to hit pan on my Becca highlighter, which I finally did. So I actually put this one in my everyday makeup drawer for winter so I could focus on using it even more because this formula is so good. It's very lightweight, very smooth. It looks amazing on the cheeks, and they do have two different options. So I have the lighter option, but if you have a deeper skin tone, they do have some darker highlighters as well. And I still love this so much. My favorite blush formula of 2018 was the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Blushes. I don't know if I discovered these in 2018 or if I just really enjoyed them, but I used them so much that year, and I do still really like this formula. I tend to reach for more of a subtle formula overall. 2020 hasn't been like a big blush year for me, so I can't say that I've been using these as much now as I did 2 years ago, but I do still love the formula. It performs well, and I have no regrets adding these to my collection. Let's move on to face products. So starting with primers, my favorite primer was the Smashbox Photo Finish Primerizer, which I do still enjoy. I have this in my collection. It's been a favorite for years, and I don't have anything against this formula because I really do think it's very effective. It's such a good moisturizing base. But I was able to replace it with a good drugstore alternative, and that is the Catrice Prime & Fine Aqua Fresh Hydro Primer. A few of you guys told me you think they're actually discontinuing this, which would be so disappointing because this product is so good. So I need to email the brand and see if I can find out. This performs in such a similar way, but I almost like it a little bit better because I feel like this one has a slight smoothing property that the Primerizer doesn't have. They're both great at hydrating the skin, and when you apply makeup on top, everything looks very smooth and fresh, but I like this formula just a little bit better. So even though I enjoy this, it's definitely been replaced with something else in my collection. I actually had another primer that I did consider a favorite that year, and that is the e.l.f. Oil Control Primer Mist. So as much as I love a good moisturizing primer, I feel like I tend to reach for something that's a little bit more oil controlling during the spring and the summer. And this one is a really nice option because it is a water-based primer. So it doesn't dry out your skin. It doesn't feel uncomfortable or tight. It feels really nice. It almost feels like you're applying a water, but it does keep your skin matte longer. I absolutely love this product. I think it is a hidden gem at the drugstore. So this one has stood the test of time for sure. I haven't been able to find anything that performs quite like this. I have other mattifying primers, but on days where I want a very comfortable matte primer, I like this one. My favorite foundation that year was the Catrice HD Liquid Coverage Foundation. So I still like this foundation. I haven't reached for it a whole lot in 2020. This one is actually in my project pan and it's pretty much gone, but as much as I enjoy it, I don't know that I can necessarily call it a favorite. I just feel like my foundation preferences have changed a little bit, and more often than not, I tend to reach for a medium coverage foundation over a full coverage foundation. And as far as full coverage foundations go, I like this one because it's very lightweight and comfortable. But I mean, like I said, I haven't reached for it as much this year. So I do enjoy it, but I don't think I can really call it a favorite at this point. I mean, I guess it's a favorite because it is one of my favorite foundations, but it's not my top foundation. It's not the foundation I reach for every single day, so I am going to say that I did replace that one. The best concealer that I tried was the Too Faced Born This Way Multi-Use Sculpting Concealer. I still love this product, I really do, but I have to say I have another concealer that I've been reaching for more this year, and that is the Milani Conceal and Perfect Concealer. I do feel like they have somewhat similar textures, but the Milani concealer is maybe slightly more mattifying, so it does seem to stay in place better on my oily skin, but they're really close. Honestly, when you break it down price per ounce, they're actually probably pretty similar because you do get a lot of product in the Too Faced concealer. You get 0.5 fluid ounces, and in the Milani concealer, you get 0.17 fluid ounces. So I would say if you like more of a satin finish, you'll probably enjoy the Too Faced concealer, but the coverage is very, very similar. So I do still enjoy this, but I don't think it's necessarily my number one, just because the Milani concealer has been the one that I've reached for over and over this year. There were two different powders that I loved that year. The first one is the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Powder. I still have this in my collection, but I haven't used it really at all in 2020, and I haven't used it very much since I actually discovered a dupe for it. So this is no longer a favorite of mine. I think it works extremely well, but it's very expensive for the price. And when I tried the Flower Beauty Light Illusion, which I think I actually tried in 2018 as well, I felt like this was such a good alternative. The powders look almost identical on the skin, and this one is a lot more affordable. A lot of you guys have told me there's a powder from the brand Number 7 that is also a good dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury powder, so I need to check that one out because I would love to have another option to recommend, but I do love the Flower Beauty Light Illusion. I won't say that this is actually my favorite powder right now. It does perform well, but I'm kind of into loose powders this year, so I do like this one, and it definitely replaced the Charlotte Tilbury powder, but it's not necessarily my number one powder of 2020. The other powder that I loved was the Urban Decay All Nighter, and when I discovered this, I was amazed by how well it locked my foundation into place during the summer weather. And when I used this combined with the e.l.f. Oil Control Primer, I felt like my foundation stayed matte all day long. And I still love this product. I did use this one for a good part of the year this year. Whenever fall rolls around, I usually switch it back out, but I always break it out during the spring and the summer. If you have extremely oily skin, this product is such a good option because it really does work well to lock your foundation into place all day long, and I do love this. It's definitely still one of my number one favorites. My number one brow pencil was the NYX Micro Brow Pencil, which does perform well. I don't necessarily have anything against that particular pencil. I feel like I've just had a hard time finding my perfect shade. I'm kind of picky with like the undertones of brow pencils, and a lot of them pull very red toned on me, which kind of works because I do have like some red tones in my hair, but I don't typically love for my brow pencils to look very red toned. So right now my go-to pencil is the Urban Decay Brow Blade in Dark Drapes, which definitely has a cooler undertone. So I will say that the NYX brow pencil is no longer a favorite. It has been replaced. I have other drugstore formulas that I like, so I haven't repurchased the NYX pencil in a while. I also replaced the NYX Epic Ink eyeliner. I like that one and it does perform well, but the issue with that eyeliner is that it always leaked on me. So I might have been using it for a few weeks or a few months, but after a while it would start to leak out of the brush and it would make a complete mess. That happened like the 2 or 3 times that I repurchased it. So I just decided to see if there was another option out there, and recently I discovered the ColourPop BFF liquid liner, which has been a really good alternative. So if you like a brush tip liquid liner and you're looking for one that's more of a drugstore price, this one is a great option. So the NYX one is no longer a favorite. I also really loved the Tarte Man-Eater eyeliner that year, and I actually haven't repurchased that since I used it up, and it's not because I didn't like the eyeliner, it's because I think that I tried the Urban Decay Perversion very shortly after that, and that became my number one. So that's the reason why the Tarte one is no longer a favorite. I think if I was to try it now, I would still enjoy it, but the Urban Decay Perversion is just my favorite. It stays in place extremely well. So that one did top the Tarte eyeliner for me. Apparently, I've replaced a lot of my favorite eye favorites because the Charlotte Tilbury eyeliner in Eye Cheat is no longer a favorite as well. I still have it in my collection, but it's just a nude eyeliner, and I feel like recently I've been reaching for the ColourPop cream gel liners a lot. When they first released those, I felt like they dried out very quickly and they broke off very easily, but they have improved the formula and they're a lot more creamy and they seem to last longer, and they actually have a nude eyeliner called Honey Dude, which works very, very well. But I will say I don't wear nude eyeliner on my waterline super often. I usually reach for a colorful liner, something a little bit more dramatic like I'm wearing today, or some sort of gold rather than a nude. My favorite eyeshadow palettes of the year were the Juvia's Place eyeshadow palettes, and I love these so much. These are still some of my absolute favorites. They perform extremely well, and I feel like I've kind of rediscovered the brand recently. I still have a lot of the same palettes in my collection that I had in 2018, but I think that they are so intense and rich, and they work well for all skin tones. So my favorite mascara of 2018 was actually the Hourglass Caution Extreme Lash Mascara, and I keep saying that I'm going to repurchase that because I have such good memories of it, and I didn't realize it was actually my favorite mascara of the year. So I do need to repurchase that. I am so hesitant to purchase high-end mascaras unless they're on sale because there are so many good drugstore options, but I just remember loving the way that made my lashes look. So it is no longer a favorite, but it's the one that I think about the most, which is so weird because it's a mascara and it takes up a lot of room in my mind. I feel like it's always on my mind. So I just need to repurchase it and try it out again because I really loved it that year. I also loved the Essence Lash Princess False Lash Effect Mascara, which I do still love. This one makes your lashes look incredibly long. I can't say it's necessarily my go-to right now because I feel like I kind of value volume over length these days. I mean, I like a mascara that does it all, but I feel like I tend to prefer volume more than length, and this one doesn't give a ton of volume, but it does lengthen the lashes. But as far as mascaras go, it is still one of my favorites for sure. And then the last eye, or I guess brow product that I loved that year was the ColourPop Brow Boss Gel. And I never thought that I would find anything to replace that, but I do feel like my preferences have changed a little bit. So I do still enjoy that formula. I think it performs very well, especially if I'm doing like quick everyday makeup, because it does make my brows look a little bit more full than they actually are. But lately I've really been enjoying the e.l.f. Wow Brow formula, which is different. The ColourPop Brow Gel is very waxy and it gives your brows like a fluffy texture, but the e.l.f. Brow Gel is more of like a traditional brow gel. It's very wet, it dries down, and it locks them into place. And I don't know, I've really been enjoying that one a little bit more. So the ColourPop Brow Gel is still a good option, but it is no longer my number one, which I never thought I would say. My favorite lipsticks were the Too Faced Natural Nudes lipsticks, and I heard they were actually discontinuing these. I think they have a few shades available on the Sephora website, but ever since I heard they were being discontinued, I've been looking for a good alternative. So I do have to say that I've been able to find a lot of lipstick that I already own in my collection that I love. I really enjoy the ColourPop Lippy Sticks. Recently, I got the Buxom Full Force lipstick in the shade Goddess. I've really been loving this formula, even more than the Too Faced Natural Nudes lipsticks, because it's a very smoothing formula. It feels really comfortable, and it looks a little bit more glossy, so I just really enjoy that look and feel overall. So I do still love these, but there are other formulas that I've been able to reach for over these and not necessarily miss these as much. My favorite lip liners have remained the same. These are the ColourPop Lippy Pencils. They're basically the only lip liners I use. I have a couple of other random ones, like I have some from Charlotte Tilbury, some from Essence, but when it comes down to it, I am completely happy with these. These are my favorite. They have so many shades to choose from, and I think that's why I do like them so much, because no matter what lipstick or lipstick I want to did I just say lipstick twice? No matter what lipstick or lip gloss I want to apply on top, I can find a matching lip liner from ColourPop. They stay in place well, they're comfortable, they're really pretty, so I still love these and they're affordable, which is great. My lip gloss favorite that year was actually the Urban Decay Hi-Fi Shine lip glosses, which is really interesting to me because I don't remember loving them enough to actually call them like my number one favorite of the year, but I think in 2018 I wasn't necessarily super into lip gloss. Right now, if you guys watch my videos, you know that I love the Fenty Gloss Bombs. I talk about them way too much. So the Urban Decay lip glosses have definitely been replaced. I think they're good. They're a nice option, but they don't even come close to the Fenty Gloss Bombs for me. So those are all of my favorite products from 2018. I actually like and still own a lot more than I actually thought I would, but they aren't necessarily all my #1 favorites right now. But I do think the majority of them, I'm just kind of looking through my list, the majority of them have really stood the test of time, and they are great products that I still love and recommend. So if you guys aren't already subscribed to my channel, I would love for you to subscribe. In about a month, I'll be sharing my 2020 favorites and all of the products that I loved this year. I don't necessarily have a ton of new releases to share with you because I feel like 2020 was the year where I really shopped my stash and maybe rediscovered some old favorites. So I'm looking forward to kind of going through the categories and choosing my absolute favorites this year. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch. I hope that you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you very soon with a new video. Bye.